How you guys doing? This is my audience. A quote from Martin Luther King Jr. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. Systematic oppression is a current event that is shaping the world around us today. Today, the focus is for you, the audience, to know about the athletes protesting for change is important because as a society, we must be able to form our own opinions. By doing extensive research, I feel confident in my ability to relay important details to my audience, allowing them to understand the issues athletes are speaking on. Being an athlete, I feel this topic is something that relates to me in a strong way. The main points I'll be touching on today are Tommie Smith, John Carlos in Mexico City 1968 Olympics, Colin Kaepernick kneeling during the national anthem, and the effects both Kaepernick, Tommie Smith, and John Carlos in sports and media. First, Tommie Smith, John Carlos in the Mexico City 1968 Olympics. Both athletes wanted to show and protest the systematic oppression that was going on in their hometowns and in southern states. Both Tommie Smith and John Carlos placed a spot on the podium at the end of the Mexico City Olympics, wearing black gloves, changing their attire to their United States track uniform, and during the national anthem, lower their head and raise their fist in solidarity for those who died from black oppression and currently going through black oppression. According to Deneen L. Brown, author for the Washington Post, published an article in 2017 about the Black Power protests that shook the world in 1968. She stated, "They had taken a stand as a moment when the country was also embroiled in protests over the Vietnam War and the aftermath of Martin Luther King Jr. and Robert F. Kennedy. The nation had seen on television Chicago police beating demonstrations at the Democratic National Convention." So both of these athletes just felt like they needed to take a stand on the different issues that were going on in southern states and in their hometowns. Secondly, Colin Kaepernick kneeling during the national anthem was a demonstration also protesting black oppression in the United States today. Many felt that Colin Kaepernick was trying to disrespect or, disregard the efforts of the United States Army, but really he was just trying to bring awareness to the oppression and the systematic oppression that is going on in the United States today. According to ESPN.com news services, as reported on a website, The Undefeated, published on August 27, 2016, Kaepernick said, "To me, this is bigger than football, and it would be selfish of me to look the other way. There are bodies in the street and people getting away with murder." Also, many of Kaepernick's teammates also participated in these protests with him. Guys like Eric Reed, who felt like he too needed to take a stand for systematic oppression alongside Kaepernick. Lastly, the effects of both Kaepernick, Tommie Smith, and John Carlos, both in sports and media. Both athletes, Tommie Smith and John Carlos, were kicked out of their track association for their demonstration for black oppression during the 1968 Olympics, as well as Colin Kaepernick being released from the 49ers and not being able to get another job in the NFL. Steve Weiss of NFL.com published Colin Kaepernick explains why he sat during the national anthem on August 27, 2016, and stated, Kaepernick said, "I'm not going to stand up and show pride in the flag for a country that oppresses black people and people of color." During the 1968 Olympics, there was also another person that helped Tommie Smith and John Carlos protest for black oppression, and he wasn't black. He was a white man from Australia, and Eric Blackman published how the Black Power protests at the 1968 Olympics killed careers on February 22nd, 2018, and stated, "Norman, a teacher and guided by his Salvation Army faith, took part in the Black Power salute because of his opposition to racism." To conclude, Tommy Smith, John Carlos in the 1968 Mexico City Olympics, Colin Kaepernick kneeling during the national anthem, and both the effects of Kaepernick, Tommy Smith, John Carlos being kicked out of their organizations. Basically, this is a current event that is shaping the world around us today. Thank you guys for your time, and I hope that this was a meaningful speech for you.